Welcome to E square P. We'll start with the revision of magnetostatics, and before going into the hardcore magnetostatics, I will take like 2-3 minutes to go through the basic topics. So the current is defined by the derivative of time, of charge and time, and similarly the surface current is defined as di by dl perpendicular. So this is something I would say please do look up into Griffiths, and this is a very important concept. This one and the J, what we have that di by ds perpendicular, that is current upon perpendicular area. And now the relation between charge density and current density. Okay, so these are my long wire. This is my plane with sigma charge, and this is my 3D sphere with rho, and these are the relations I equals to lambda v, and these are moving with velocity v. Okay, so they are moving with velocity v. I equals to lambda v, k bar equals to sigma v bar, and j bar equals to rho v bar. Okay, and the magnetic effects of current on the conducting wires is when we have two parallel wires and they are like having current in same direction, then the wire will attract each other, and if they are having current in different directions, then they will repel each other. Now moving on to the next topic, that is Biot-Savart's law. In Biot-Savart's law, I will just like note what is the formula, because this is something we have done in our high school, and it's kind of similar to the electric field that we try to find out. And this is given for a line charge. I can convert that line charge to the surface charge, and this is the Biot-Savart's law for surface charge. And similarly, I can do that to a volume charge. Alright, and from the above three equations I can find this relation, which is very important, and sometimes question are directly asked based on this particular formula. Okay, and sometimes it becomes difficult to use Biot-Savart's law, but there's one thing which I want you to keep in your mind is, like, using Biot-Savart's law you can calculate magnetic field of any kind of object. ठीक है, उसके बाद let's go to the properties of magnetic field. So I have three properties listed over here. The first one is the solenoidal property that magnetic field shows, that is the divergence of B is 0. Second, it's the second property is kind of the derivation from the first one, that is the closed integral of B dot ds, and their physical meaning in the life is written over here. Alright, now from that I will move on to the conclusion which can be derived from this first property, is that the magnetic monopole does not exist. Just keep this in mind, it can be asked in jest or somewhere. And the most important property, that is the Ampere's circuital law. So whatever you do, never forget this particular law in the magnetic field, magnetostatics. It's like the base of magnetostatics. Okay, that is del cross B. This is the differential from del cross B equals to mu naught J, and the second is the closed integral of B dot dl equals to mu naught I enclosed. Alright, and the last one is how we define the magnetic flux, that is the integration of B dot ds. And I think this is all about the magnetic fields. Now let's come to an interesting topic that is known as the vector potential. And from this property we know that the divergence of magnetic field is 0, so we can describe another quantity, that is del cross A as B, because the divergence of a curl is always 0. Alright, and my magnetic flux can be defined in terms of my vector potential as this, that is the closed integral of over some curve. Alright, and I will compare this particular formula and this one to get this final relation, which is really important from jam and JESP perspective, especially for the JESP perspective. And the way we find this vector potential is kind of similar to the Biot-Savart's law, but over here we have the dot product instead of the cross product that we saw in Biot-Savart's law over here. So the quantities are same, it's just we have the dot product. Alright, so I have taken some example that A does not depend on the geometry kind of thing when you have a closed surface. So this is something I want you to like go through, especially this can be properly explained in Griffiths. Okay, now one concept which is usually asked not in the JAM or JESP but for the Central University exams, what is the direction of magnetic field? So mathematically it can be found as a cross product of the direction of current and r cap. This r cap you can refer to the page 1 where we saw the Biot-Savart's law, or sorry, page 2, and then we have right hand thumb rule. So I know this is something you might have learned in your school, so I will skip this part. And direction of A is always same as current. Okay, it's either in the direction of current or opposite to direction of current, but it cannot be somewhere random. It has to be either. So you can say that okay, if current is going along some line, so A is on that line. Alright, now we'll go through some special cases of magnetic field for some usually asked questions. The first one is the circular wire. Alright, even in the circular wire we have one particular thing that okay, let's say I have a circular wire over here and I want to find my magnetic field at this point. So this is at the axial point and this is the formula which can be derived from the Biot-Savart's law. Alright, and if I want to find the magnetic field at center, so let's say over here, so which is described by this figure, then I will just put z equals to 0 in this formula and I will get b equals to mu naught I by 2r. This is a very important formula, usually asked not in JAM just directly, but their application is really important. Okay, now if I have a circle which have n turns, then magnetic field at center will be the same, only it will be multiplied by this n. Alright, so n independent circle will contribute independently to the magnetic field and it will also be along z cap. Sorry, that's something I have not written over there. And now if let's say I don't have a circle, instead I have some circular arc, then what would be my magnetic field? Okay, so this can be found using the unitary rule which we have studied in class 6th, 7th. Okay, so if my 2 pi contributes to magnetic field as 2i by 2 mu naught I by 2r, then how much my theta will contribute. So this is an analogy, but it has a very rigorous proof from Biot-Savart's law. Mu naught I theta by 4 pi r. Alright, now to calculate magnetic field on straight line, so this is my straight line, this is a finite straight line that I have over here with me. Then my magnetic field at this point, and this point is substituting theta 1 angle at the rear position and theta 2 angle at the further position. Then my magnetic field will have this kind of formula, mu naught I by 4 pi d, and d is the perpendicular distance with the extended form of this line, and sine theta 1 minus sine theta 2. I would just say that by heart this formula at this moment and like when jam is so near. Alright, now if my theta, if my this finite line is shifted downwards, then my theta 2 is minus, and sine minus theta 2 is nothing but then minus sign will come out and it will become plus. So this is just a modified form of the above formula. Alright, now instead of finite wires, when we have infinite wires, and there will be two cases. If my point where I want to find magnetic field line, like my magnetic field is in between or at some particular corner of that infinite line. And believe me, these are the two most important formulae. All the questions which will be asked on magnetic field will be either circling around these two formulae, I can say. So this is one important thing. It's just the factor of 2, you can see. Okay, and now when I have my point in front of a infinite wire, then my magnetic field at this point will be 0, because my cross product in Biot-Savart's law is 0. That is, my dl and r cross r cap are having same direction. Okay, now we'll move on to solenoid. That is, in solenoid, that is this one term, number of turns per unit length. It is defined by total number of turns upon the length of solenoid. And similarly, the way I have defined the formula for finite length, similarly for solenoid, for some point which is inside the solenoid, and that is a finite solenoid, then my magnetic field formula is mu naught Ni by 2 cos theta 1 minus cos theta 2. Just look at the geometry where I have formed cos theta 1. So this is my cos theta 1, this is my cos theta 2. And inside, when I have my solenoid, an infinite solenoid, I will just put my cos theta 1 as 0, which I have highlighted over here, and cos theta 2 as minus 180 degree. Then I will get this formula, that is mu naught Ni. This is a very common formula that we have studied in our high school. And if instead my point is not in the center of solenoid, it's at one of the end, then my magnetic field is mu naught N by 2. Sorry for that. Now I have Ampere's circuital law. So Ampere's circuital law, which we have already studied in the integral form few slides earlier, that is closed integral over a curve is equals to mu naught I enclosed. In the differential form, it can be written as del cross B equals to mu naught J okay. So these are the same form, and how this is applied is, let's say I have a curve over here, and these are the two infinite wires that are coming out, and this one I4 is going inside this plane, and then I apply my Ampere's circuital law in the integral form. Then the total current enclosed in this curve is I4 minus I2 I3. Alright, and there will be no contribution due to I1, which is outside this curve, and I5. There will be nil contribution from them in the Ampere's law, but they will definitely have some contribution in the magnetic field, but not in the Ampere's law. Okay, I hope you understand the difference between. Alright, now I have, so let me keep this video short. In the next video, I will go through the cylindrical symmetry and spherical symmetries and the plane concept. Alright, thank you for watching the video.